The biggest thing that he said that kept me in the whole thing was, I'm going to choose you. Like, it's really hard to walk away. We've dated forever. You know, now we're married. We have a kid. There's a lot that goes into this, but I'm going to choose you. I love you. We will figure this out together.
Welcome to the Secret Life Podcast. Tell me your secret. I'll tell you mine. When I first started my recovery 11 years ago, I struggled through the textbook-like material on this subject. I wanted to make the addiction and the recovery from it accessible and relatable to more people by telling it in an entertaining way. Well, I'm super excited to announce I've released my first book, Secret Life of a Hollywood Sex and Love Addict. If I can help just one person find a solution or at least realize they're not broken or alone, then writing this has been worth it. You can pick up the book exclusively at Amazon or signed copy at secretlifenovel.com. And the best way to support our podcast is to subscribe and share. If you haven't left a review or rating on Apple Podcasts yet, please do. It'll help more people find our show. And if you want to be a guest, shoot me a note at secretlifepodcast@icloud.com. Enjoy the episode. Welcome to Secret Life Podcast. I'm Brianne Davis-Gant. Today, I'm pulling back the curtains of all kinds of human secrets. You know, that deep, dark secret that you don't want to tell anybody and you rather go to your deathbed with? Or those silly, fun, kind of embarrassing light secrets that you still don't want to tell anyone because it's embarrassing? Well, we're going to get into the how, what, when, where, and why of it all. And today, my guest is Lee. Now, Lee, I have a question for you. Dun, dun, dun. What is your secret?
So my secret is I dated a married man for a little over 2 years. I didn't know he was married for the first year. And then I stayed in it for a little over a year because I thought he would choose me in the end.
Okay, we need to back up. First of all, we probably need to get him on the show because he had a secret for at least a year. So It went on a year. He was married. Now, can I ask you the details? Like where you met him and how that even started?
Totally. So we met playing poker. So we were at our casino playing poker. He sat down, we talked, hit it off. We realized we were both going to be in Vegas 2 weeks later. So we met up in Vegas and we basically were inseparable ever since.
Okay, but the casino you first met, was that in Vegas?
No, in the Seattle area.
Oh, okay. Wow. Okay. Yeah. I was like, wow, you guys were hitting Vegas hard. Like back to back. I was like, that's a lot of Vegas. I can't take that much glitter and too much.
Oh, Vegas is amazing.
You love Vegas?
Oh, love it. Love it. Love it. It's my favorite place on the planet.
I am not a fan of Vegas. I shot there once and it was just so hot and that recycled air got to me. Yes. I don't know. Some people don't I just didn't enjoy it. But anyway, so this went on for a year. So were there signs? Were there things that you now looking back?
So yeah, definitely signs. So I knew he had a past. I knew he was married in the past. He had a little girl. So, I knew that there was definitely signs that, he still had this past. He had a relationship with who I thought was his ex, right? And he made it sound like they were very close. They did a lot with their little girl. And so, there was definitely things like that, but I don't know. I was so in love and he was this, my first real adult relationship that I thought I'm going to marry this guy. And so I think I kind of turned a blind eye to some of it because it was so perfect in every way.
Okay, first of all, the red flags are going off for me because you said perfect. No person, human being, if anybody's too perfect, that's like a warning sign that something is amiss for me, because I am a cheater. I will say it. I have cheated. I have had affairs and I would create the most perfect picture of myself and only give that person that. Do you think that's what he was doing for a year? I mean, did he wine and dine you? Like, what were
Yes.
some of the things you guys did? Did you take more trips together?
We did. And I think you're exactly right. Like that, he made it this perfect relationship. We traveled together. He took me out to all the nicest restaurants. He bought me gifts. He surprised me at work. He said all the right things to my families. He took interest in everything that I did. It just, yeah, I think he made it perfect because that was, I don't know, his way of maybe hiding everything else or, making me turn a blind eye to things. But yeah, like I said, I've never had a relationship like that. I've never had a guy who has done so much for me and really made me feel so special.
Yeah, it's like we as people that do that or have done it in the past, it was almost like a fantasy for us too. Like we wanted every relationship to look like this and not what reality was. Like
Yep.
I always say no one wants to take out the trash. No one wants to pay the bills. No one wants to change dirty diapers or pick up dog poop. Like nobody wants to do that. We all want to live in this fantasy of like what the entertainment business tells us.
Yep.
So what's the moment you remember like, oh, I'm falling in love with this guy? Do you remember that moment?
I do. It was real. It was, it was kind of early on, actually. We went on a walk on not necessarily a beach, but it was like a waterfront in the Seattle area. And like he grabbed my hand and I just had this feeling like I never want to let go. Like this guy really cares about me. And like I could see myself doing this for a really, really long time. And I just knew at that point, like he had me, like he could pretty much do no wrong at that point.
Did you say I love you or did he say it first?
He said it first and
Of
it
course.
wasn't that night. It wasn't that night. So I held out. But yeah, he definitely said it first.
And do you remember him where he said it?
Yeah, we had a hotel. We did like a staycation and we got it.
I'm rolling my eyes, not at her, because he's like he's pouring it on. I see how you cannot get sucked in. I mean, just saying it, if we're listening, we're like, oh, that sounds so romantic. But I'm rolling my eyes because I know his game.
Yes.
So I'm not rolling my eyes at her, people, just so you know.
No, and I get it. I totally get it. Like now looking back, like I definitely understand, like we had a lot of those and now I somewhat understand why. But yeah, like we had this great staycation, beautiful room. It was super romantic. It was somewhat kinky, which was also really fun in kind of everything that we did. And it was great. Like it was just kind of how I imagined it would be in like a movie and, what you want that forever love to be like.
Did he say it during the act or after the act?
Right before the act.
Ooh, that lovely. Lovely. Okay, so you're living this like fantasy, room service. Oh, I love room service, like fancy hotels and restaurants, which we all love, or if you don't, that's your thing. But when did the shoe drop? What happened?
Okay, so he met one of my best friends from college and hit it off. We had a great weekend. She came into town for the weekend. We did all things touristy Seattle. It was super fun. They had a great time. And at the end of it, she wanted to like be friends with him. So she hit him up on Facebook or basically searched for him on Facebook. We never really connected on Facebook. Back then, like it didn't really matter. I wasn't huge into social, either was he. But my girlfriend at the time was. So she friended him on Facebook. And as she did that, realized that, it looks like he is married. So of course she knew, like I told her, he's divorced and all of this because that's what I thought.
Did it say married or did it just have pictures of them? Or you
had
don't know?
Pictures with the same last name, right? So lots of pictures together. If you go down the rabbit hole, you can start to see family. And
she
family
cyber stalked him.
She totally cyber stalked him.
That's a really good girlfriend.
She's the best. best. And so, she asked me about it. And of course, I'm like, oh no, he's divorced and they're still close and yada, yada, yada.
They
I'm
probably haven't
defending.
changed their, updated their
Yes.
Facebook. People get busy. I'm
All
just
of
helping you with
that.
those excuses.
Yes. And I had every single one covered. But then I questioned it. I said, like, like, it's kind of weird. Like, you and I are dating, we're pretty serious, but your ex still has your last name. Like, it looks confusing. And then we had the conversation and it all came out.
Okay, tell me that conversation
Oh
if
my
you
gosh.
can remember.
It was ugly. Oh, I can remember. It wasn't great. It was hard. It was hard to hear. It was hard to not want to jump down his throat. It was hard to not cry because I was sad about like what it meant. I was angry. I felt stupid at the time, because like he met everyone that I know. Like, what am I going to tell people? How is this going to look? Like, what should I do? Like, I know what I should do, but like that's not like what my heart's going to tell me. Like, just so many emotions and
Mhm.
just came out. It was really rough for a long time to just, I don't know, try to figure out what it all meant.
So what did he say to you though? Because you did say at the beginning you stayed with him for a year longer. So what did he say that convinced you? I'm just trying to get an idea of what he said because for me hearing that, I'd want to run, but I'm not in that situation. And it being a married man, I just don't know. You never know what you're going to do. So if you could
Yeah.
just
And
walk us through that.
yeah, the biggest thing that he said that kept me in the whole thing was, I'm going to choose you. Like, it's really hard to walk away. We've dated forever. Now we're married. We have a kid. There's a lot that goes into this, but I'm going to choose you. I love you. We will figure this out together. And so, the more he said that, the more I almost felt that it was okay to be in the situation because he's going to choose me. So in the end, it's all going to make sense and it'll be fine. And people will understand or they won't even know and it'll be fine.
Oh, so
Uh,
you kept that a secret from everybody else too?
yeah, even to this day,
Oh,
not a single person knows except one friend, one of my best friends knows, and he's the only one.
oh my God. Okay. So how was that year? How was that year of like waiting?
Oh, awful. Absolutely awful. We still tried to be our normal selves and still be in love. But, every time he wasn't with me, I'm like, oh, is he sleeping with her? How is that going? Is he telling her, like, because she doesn't know I exist. So, are they happy? I don't know. It was really, really hard. It was hard for me to be happy or to trust him or anything like that, even though he kept saying, I'm going to choose you. And, he still was the love of, or what I thought was like this love of my life, this perfect guy. Everything's going to be great. He just needs to get away from her, and we'll be fine. And just, it never got better. It kept getting worse.
Yeah, that's what I feel like. It keeps getting every time you see him and it's not taken care of. Or say you go back to that fancy hotel, there's just this like, ew, that's
Yeah.
kind of around it where it takes that bubble of like fantasy and now you're in reality that this
Yep.
is a married man that's saying he loves you and he's going to leave his wife, but he hasn't done it yet. And each
Yep.
month it just get like, did you guys fight more? Did it just like,
Yes.
and what was that moment that you decided to walk away?
It just, I don't know if there was really a moment or if it was just, because I think it took time for me to walk away. I probably walked away 10 times. I kid you not.
Mm.
I kept going back. He kept pulling me back in and I wanted to believe him. I really, really wanted to believe him because when it was good, it was great. And I wanted that. I thought it was great. And he loved my family. He loved my friends. I loved his friends. And, it could have been
Wait, you met
awesome.
his friends?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So his friends knew all about me. Yes.
So his friends held the secret also that he was with you and another
Yep.
and his wife.
And his wife.
Was there any more women? Do you know?
I don't. I always wonder, like now, if he has, someone
His
else, like if he's
game,
replaced me. Yes. But I don't know. I don't keep in contact with him or his friends. Every once in a while we do run into each other because we are kind of in the same realm of poker and that type of stuff. But we definitely avoid each other as much as possible.
So all his friends knew. And then what was that final straw, though? You said it was like 10 breakups, but what was that one where you just like, I'm done?
I asked him to choose me and he didn't.
And he said, no, I can't choose you.
He said, no, I can't. And then and this was about that 10th time, and I was thinking about, do I go back or do I not? And, it just, I don't know. I couldn't. Like, I had to finally be done. Like, he never was going to choose me. It had been long enough. It wasn't going to happen. And so I had to walk away, and it took me actually moving to not be in the same area. I completely left, and it was the best thing for me and really helped me somewhat like walk away and feel good about it.
Okay, now holding this secret, and now you've been holding it from your family and friends. I always like to tie in the deadly seven sins. So we have here, and if any of them ring true for you, tell me why. So there's pride, greed, lust, gluttony, envy, anger, and sloth.
So lust for sure, right? Because that's where it all started, right? It was this excitement and idea of this perfect guy and this
The feeling of
romance.
first love.
Yes.
That's like the best high in the world. Falling in love. Yeah.
It is. Yes. And getting, everything that you've seen in the fairy tales, right? Have it all come true. So lust definitely was something that I for sure had, and then once I found out envy that he was married, I was super envious. Like, I wanted to be his wife. I didn't want somebody else to be his wife. I wanted to have kids
But
with
here's
him.
a question I have for you. In the back of your mind, when you were envious and you saw his wife, did you ever think, if I was married to him, would he do this to me? Was that ever a thought in your head at that time?
Not at that time. Not at that time. I guess, as naive as I probably was, I thought that what we had was so different than what anyone else has ever had and that he's ever experienced. But, after the fact, like now, like I just mentioned, I wonder if he has replaced me. He's still with his wife. And so I'm wondering if he wasn't getting it from her before. He got it I thought he got something from me. So now is he trying to find it with someone else? So I think I probably would have got to that place at some point. But at the time, no. Like I said, I thought what we had was perfect. Use that word again.
Perfect. Her favorite word. I'm going to mention the other ones because I feel like I can sense there might be a couple more. So we still have pride, greed, gluttony, anger, and sloth.
So anger for sure, right? Because obviously once I found out, I was very angry. I was super upset. And not only at him, I was angry at myself. You never expect to be that person to have, I mean, I guess I had an affair. I was a mistress, right?
Yeah, you were a mistress. I mean, if we were going to put a label on it, you weren't purposely a mistress. You didn't purposely go after a married man, but you stayed with a married man for a year.
I did. Yes. And, I'm not proud of that at all. But, like I said, I was definitely very angry, like I said, with him, with myself. I still am, right? Like I still feel, upset that I let myself get in that situation and, all of that. I should have walked away. But man, it's hard.
It is hard.
Your emotions get into it.
No judgment on this side. It is really hard when the love emotion sets in. It is hard to walk away from situations that are very bad.
Yeah.
I get it. So we also still have greed and gluttony and sloth and pride.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know about greed.
I have one for you.
Yes, you lay it on me.
Well, I was just thinking pride because I feel like when he kept telling you, I'm going to choose you, there's something about it where you were like, yeah, he is going to choose me. I'm prideful. I'm better than she is. I'm different than his wife. Like
Yeah.
Does that ring true?
Yeah.
It just
No.
popped in my head.
No, it totally does. Like I said, I mean, I thought we had this relationship that like he was getting something from me that he wasn't getting with her. And I just thought that there was this connection there that was so raw and like just amazing. And yeah, I was, and I was proud of it. I was proud of him. I'm not gonna lie. Like I was so proud of this relationship that we had built. I wanted people to be envious of us because we
Mm.
were so, perfect and in love and just living this fantasy fairy tale of an amazing relationship. And so yeah, I definitely had a lot of pride in what I thought was, like I said, this perfect relationship, even though what a lot of people didn't know was it was flawed
Mhm.
drastically.
Because all humans are flawed people. No one is perfect.
Yes.
Okay, so who do you think this secret benefited and who did it harm?
So who did it harm? I mean, I think obviously, me and the guy, we went through a lot of emotional heartache. And so obviously, like, I think it hurt us the most. I think it probably hurt his family. His little girl was really young, so she probably didn't realize. But even though if his wife didn't know, she probably knew, right? Or even if she didn't know, he was gone a lot. Like he traveled with me all the time. He was with me constantly. So that can't be a
Spending
great
money too?
spending. Yes, exactly. So, I definitely think that she was hurt in the whole thing. And then just like our friends and family, I hated lying to them. I still hate lying to them to this day. But I did it to protect them. And I think that's kind of comes to the other side of it. Like, who did the secret somewhat protect? And, one, I didn't want people judging me. And I know that's selfish, but I didn't. I didn't want people necessarily judging him because I didn't think that that was fair. We were both somewhat party to the relationship. Um, and it was easier. It was easier just to have it be a secret than to tell people. It wasn't as messy if they didn't know.
And here's the thing, when you said, I think you protected him. Do people in your life still ask you, oh, what happened to him? You guys are such a great couple. Has anybody said that recently? Or you're like,
Not
yeah, we were really
recently.
great. You're like smiling, like, yeah, it was, we just drifted apart.
And that's a hard thing, right? Like, how do you make up that excuse? Because really, the only thing that got in our way, besides the massive lie, right?
That he's a massive liar.
But was the fact that he was married. If he wasn't, we probably would be married. Like it just, we were on that path. And so it is. It's hard to say, like, yeah, we just fizzled out. Well,
Yeah, it just didn't, like, I can see you standing there being like, oh yeah, like your fingers all sweaty and you don't know what
yes.
to say. Okay, so here's my big $1 million question. How do you move forward from this?
I'm not gonna lie, it's hard. It's been really, really hard. I look at relationships totally differently. I assume that everyone is just like him now, and that's not
Oh,
fair.
that isn't fair. Yeah, but I see why you do that. Go on.
Well, because I thought he was the one, so it's hard to be vulnerable and put yourself out there and trust again when the one person that you thought you could trust the most broke that. But I think the biggest thing is like, one, asking the right questions. Maybe I didn't ask the right questions at first. Maybe I somewhat turned a blind eye, even though I wasn't really knowing that I was doing it. But there were a lot of red flags that I think I missed. And so trying not to be naive to all of that. I think I'm a stronger person because of it. As far as just like me as a female, I don't know. Like it was great and it was a good experience to go through and to see what real love could potentially be like. But I definitely know that I was living this fantasy. And so I think, that's going to help me in the future. I've dated guys and it's been great. Still haven't found that one. But definitely starting to like be on kind of the mend as moving past it all and trying to be a better me.
And I have another question for you that I think a lot of listeners, if someone is going through the same situation you were going through, what would be your advice to them?
Oh, golly. I'm sorry, first of all. Like, I feel bad for people going through it because I know how hard it is. But, the biggest thing is just walk away if you can. I wish I would have walked away so much sooner than I did. I wish I wouldn't have stayed because I don't think they ever choose you.
No, and I can tell you that they will never choose you. I know because I've experienced it. And my thing, I want to say is he could have been married to the most perfect woman and he wouldn't have been able to completely show up. You could have been the most perfect woman and you would have never been enough for him. Someone that actually does that has, I feel, a hole inside of them that is never filled. And once the newness and fantasy wears off, they tend to like move on. So if you are going through this, walk away. You will never be you will never make him change ever. Even if he leaves his wife, the likelihood of him doing it again, unless he goes into deep therapy for years to stop that behavior. So I just wanted to say that. And I hope that that gives you some comfort that there's nothing you could have done to make him change.
No, I appreciate that. Yeah, no, I super appreciate that. And I agree. Like I said, I don't think it ever would have made a difference, any of it. So yeah, I'm glad that I finally did. And I hope others have the strength to do it much faster than I did.
Well, thank you for sharing with us today. And thanks for coming on.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
If you want to be on the show and you have a past secret that you've already gone through or a present secret you're still living with, please reach out to me and email me at secretlifepodcast@icloud.com. Until next time, bye. Thanks again for listening to the show. Please subscribe, rate, share, or send me a note at secretlifepodcast.com. And if you like to check out my book, head over to secretlifenovel.com or Amazon to pick up a copy for yourself or someone you love. Thanks again. See you soon.